Hello friends, welcome to Akulmach. My name is Chandrakant and you're watching Multiverse. Today in Multiverse, we are going to discuss about one of the big mystery of space-time, that is how the early stars were formed. And there are a lot of ifs and buts. So let us discuss this very important subject. So friends, the scientists have been baffled by the early stars formation. And why it is a surprise? Because we know that the stars are formed because of gases, the accumulation of gases. The gases come together, create a pressure, and eventually ignite the fusion reaction in the middle of it. The gravity also increases, and so these are the processes because of which the stars start to form and shine. But then it is a surprising fact that how that would have happened for the very first time. And I tell you why this is a mystery, because to form the star you need a lot of gas in the first place, and then because of some process the gas must be spinning, and once the gas start to spin, then it will start collapsing. And if there is a large cloud of gas, then and if it is spinning because of certain processes, it will start to collapse. And when it is collapsing, it will actually compress, and as you know that when the pressure increases, the temperature also increases. So in the early ages, during the early part of the universe, we know for sure that the first gas that was formed was hydrogen, because that is the most simple gas that can form using one electron and one proton, and you have hydrogen atom. And thus in the early part of the universe there must have been lots of clouds of hydrogen. So we have the material now, an ingredient to form a star, but it is not that simple. Now let's imagine the star has the cloud has formed, it is now collapsing, and in some point the temperature starts to increase. What happens is that the temperature, when it is increasing, it starts to expand outwards, because heat always expands. So because of that, the star will not be formed, because now the cloud which has just started to collapse will remain for billions and billions of years in the state of equilibrium, and it will not collapse completely to form a star, because the heat which is getting generated in the middle will start to expand. So what we need to do is basically lose this heat, and one of the most efficient method of losing the heat is basically by radiation. And radiations are basically created. The radiation is a bunch of particles which are emanated from the larger atoms. And these atoms were not there in the early part of the universe or space time. So the mystery is now that in the absence of larger atoms, larger elements like nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, etc., only hydrogen was there in the early part of the universe. How radiation would have come? If there was no radiation, the temperature in the cloud which is collapsing would not reduce, and if the temperature does not reduce, the cloud will not collapse further. And that is a big mystery, because we know that all these different elements are basically created in the heart of the stars, because hydrogen merged to form helium, helium merged to form carbon, etc. So stars are basically the element factories. So when it would have started, there was nothing else other than hydrogen, and all other elements were created by the stars, stage 1 stars, type 2 stars, type 3 stars, etc. So the mystery now still not solved, that how the first star would have formed in absence of these elements, higher elements. And let us understand that why these elements are required, and scientists call them metals, because anything which is not hydrogen behaves pretty much like metal given the right temperature. And you know what is metal? Metal is like steel or iron. They can be molded, they can be stretched, etc. So all these different elements other than hydrogen and helium are called metals in the definition of science. So that is why these metals have the capability to emit radiation, and by emitting radiation they can actually contribute to reduce the temperature of the collapsing cloud. So now we have understood what are metals and what is the processes which is required to form the stars. Let's move ahead. And when the temperature is reduced, then the collapsing star can further compress, and then there is a possibility of forming a star. That means an independent body which becomes like an engine, and it will collapse, ignites the fusion reaction at the core and start merging hydrogen and start giving out light, etc. So therefore it's a big mystery even today that how the first star would have formed in space-time in absence of any mechanism to basically reduce the temperature of the collapsing star. Now there could be various candidates. We can actually try to explain this problem by various means. There could be many processes which some of them we understand, some of them we may not understand today. So what are the choices we have? We have multiple choices to understand this process and to solve this mystery. Choice number one is, of course, we can look at JWST, which is James Webb Space Telescope. And James Webb basically has the ability to look far back in time, further down in timeline than the Hubble telescope, simply because the JWST looks into the infrared spectrum. So we can actually go back in time and start examining things and situations that would have existed very early when the stars were being formed, very early in the early part of the universe. So that is one choice. Of course, this is one choice, and I'm sure scientists are looking at it. What are the second choice? The second choice is look at the areas in the universe which do not have metals. Metals, as I explained to you, anything higher than hydrogen and helium are pretty much considered like a metal in the definition of science. So far in the near neighborhood, in the small Magellanic Cloud, we have found that there are no metals. That means primarily the entire stuff which is found in the Magellanic Cloud, small Magellanic Cloud, is basically only hydrogen and helium. And this is a very surprising fact, because Magellanic Cloud is, it's just a cloud is a name, but it's actually a galaxy, a small dwarf galaxy on the collision course towards the Milky Way. There are at least 28 to 29 different dwarf galaxies around our Milky Way, which are on the collision course with the Milky Way. There are certain galaxies which have already collided, and there are certain galaxies which are in the process of collision. So there are two Magellanic Cloud. One is called Large Magellanic Cloud, other is called the Small Magellanic Cloud. And scientists have found that the Small Magellanic Cloud does not have elements like too much of metals into the stars, etc. So primarily almost 99% of the material in Small Magellanic Cloud is made of hydrogen or helium. So this is very surprising. So if Magellanic Cloud is having this character, there could be other areas, other location where we can find less of metals, and still if there are stars being formed, and we know for sure that stars are being formed in the neighborhood which is in this particular galaxy, and therefore it is a right candidate, is another alternative to look and study this galaxy which is very close by, either using JWST or using our conventional telescope, and try to find out what seems to be going on in this galaxy, what is creating the stars, new stars in this particular galaxy. And we know for sure that the Small Magellanic Cloud is actually there are certain areas which are actually bursting with life. There are new stars are being formed. So what could be the processes to reduce the temperature of this collapsing hydrogen and helium gas so that the cloud can further collapse and condense into a star? So that is something that is still a mystery, but we have something in the neighborhood that we can study. We also have JWST, which talks about which has the ability to look far back in time. It can talk about, it can give us pictures in the infrared spectrum, so we can look at very early stars in our universe. Now, before I end this, I would like to, since we are live, we have the live live feed across all social media. So I've got a message from DGBTW7 from Twitch platform, and he's saying, hi, how are you? So I'm fine, DGBTW, whatever your name is, I'm fine. If you have any question, you can shoot. Otherwise, catch me in the live show again tomorrow on Space Time. All right, so this is a mystery which I wanted to talk to you, friends, and it's a very deep mystery that how the star formation would have actually started in our universe, because if the collapsing cloud is not condensing into a star, it will not even start. And we know today that the sun has a lot of metals in it. It's not only hydrogen and helium. Hydrogen and helium are the prime object elements found in sun, but then it is not primarily hydrogen and helium. There are a lot of other higher elements within sun, and because of that, sun is a third generation star. That means there are already two generations which have come and gone and created these heavier elements. So formation of new stars now is a lot easier, but how the first generation was formed, still a mystery. I don't have an answer. I would like to leave today with an open-ended question. If any of my viewers have the answer, please send in your comments. Send in anything that you know about the subject, and we can discuss this in the next program in Space Time. For today, thanks for watching, and I will catch you again tomorrow in Multiverse. Please take care. Bye bye for today.